Five-star recruit Cederian Morgan will make a big impact at Alabama, but it's not going to be just on the gridiron.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. This show is dedicated to five-star recruit and wide receiver Cederian Morgan. He is out of Benjamin Russell High School in Alexander City, Alabama. He committed yesterday. I was at his ceremony. And this is a kid that you want to celebrate in many different ways. So I wanted to do a podcast about his talents on and off the field, as well as talk about what it means for him to go to Alabama, how he can shape that wide receiver room and Kalen DeBoer's passing attack, and how he has impacted his community, as I saw firsthand again yesterday at his commitment ceremony. Well, let's talk about this a little bit from the perspective of who he is as a person and as a player right now at Benjamin Russell High School, and then we'll move forward, personality and everything else. But the three things that you need to know, and you'll hear me say this multiple times throughout the show: character, challenges, and consistency. Those three things he carries together. He's a really good young man. He likes being challenged, and he's consistent in going after whatever it is he's being challenged with. Character, challenges, consistency. No doubt about it. All the things I'm going to talk about today, in some way, shape, or form, are embodied with Cederian Morgan. So first off, he's 6'5", 215. God blessed him a little bit differently, and he's worked hard on top of it. When you shake Cederian Morgan's hand, if you didn't look at him, if you didn't see his frame, and somebody just put a blindfold on you, you'd say, okay, that's probably an offensive or defensive lineman. If you take the blindfold off, you're like, wait a minute. This guy, he's pretty good size, but he's no D lineman or anything. He's not some 285-pound guy. So again, he was blessed a little bit differently, and I don't think you can really put it into perspective with what I just said. You really have to meet him to see just how physically imposing he is, but a very soft-spoken young man at the same time, until the helmet comes on. We'll talk about the receiving skills in a second, but the thing that's impressed me the most about seeing him play, whether it's in a scrimmage, in a practice, in a drill, or in a game, is he actually blocks. Most high school receivers that are offered by pretty much every program in the country, they're not bad at blocking. They're terrible because they don't care. He actually does. This is one of the things that I've noticed the most with kids, and this is a good trend. They're starting to get better at the high school level of like forcing even the elite recruits. Hey, if you don't block, you sit. Hey, if you don't block, you run more. Stuff like that, because a lot of kids, it's kind of iffy if they want to do those things. He also puts in the effort in practice. He'll be the first one in line. He'll be the guy that talks to his teammates. He's not necessarily a boisterous young man, but Cederian Morgan will do his part. He'll ask questions of the coach if he has something. He'll talk to somebody else. And again, he sets the example. He sets the tone, character, challenges, consistency over and over and over again with what he's doing. That's why I've been out to his practices more times than I can count, been to scrimmage and all kinds of other stuff. I think he's a very special player, but after you meet him, you want to follow him even more. He lives just under an hour from me, so it makes it easy. But even if he was further away, he's somebody that I would want to go see because it's just enjoyable. Now, as far as his best attributes, these aren't going to shock you. Again, he's 6'5", 215. Good luck with 50-50 balls. And he's got a real quarterback at his high school. He will be an elite recruit too. There's going to be a lot of fireworks at Benjamin Russell. They got another really good receiver. They've got some really talented skill players, defensive linemen, et cetera. They're going to be one of the better programs at the state. But when it's absolutely time to put up points, 2-minute drill, et cetera, and you're thinking about going deep, if you don't double him, it's going to be hard. And even then, most professional DBs don't have the physicality that he does because he's just such a naturally big-bodied guy. He's got pretty good ability to time it up. Is he perfect at catching the football and doing all the little things yet? No, but he's got a year of high school left. He shouldn't be. But where he's at now compared to what most guys are is night and day. Like it's a very, very big cavernous divide. So I would be surprised if he's not a guy that makes an impact at Bama in some capacity. And I know they got a deep receiver room. He may not start next year at Bama, but he'll play. And here's the other part. I asked myself this, and I've watched film of other guys that are similar. How would he impact not just Benjamin Russell this year, but Bama from a positional standpoint? Wide receivers, the generic term. But there's slot, there's flanker to the field, the guy that winds up furthest from the football. And then there's the boundary receiver. That's usually the alpha, the big body guy, which obviously Cederian fits. But the way he plays, the way he blocks, the way he carries himself, I would wager that at some point during his career in Tuscaloosa, he will play all three of them. Again, character, challenges, consistency. He will take on that challenge. That's not easy. Kalen DeBoer's playbook is not going to be friendly. There will be site adjustments and all kinds of stuff, I'm sure. The more that, whether it's Cederian Morgan or anybody else, you got a guy like Ryan Williams, the more that you get the information early, like there's no way around it. Friday night, you're not out with your buddies, you're studying. The more you do that, the more you play on Saturdays. It's that simple. Now, based on what I know about Morgan, I expect him to take that path. Nobody's perfect. He's young. He'll probably go out and have some fun once in a while too. I get it. But I would wager on him far more than most recruits that I know to go and get the work done watching film and understanding the playbook, learning the system, getting used to the quarterbacks, all of those little things that coaches not even allowed to mess with because there's such a ridiculous time restraint on football, and it's the ultimate team sport. There is no sport on planet Earth like football. The timing between the quarterback and any of his receivers, running backs, or tight ends, if you get 1,000 reps in the summer, it's not enough. Like, there is no limit. But Cederian will be the guy that pushes that limit the most. Like, he's that guy that wants to be good. So 6'5", 215 is great. Being built like a Greek god is great. But it's all the effort that he puts into it. And here's the other part, the personality part. When I was at his ceremony yesterday when he committed to Bama, it was a local rec center. It's a basketball gym, and a bunch of people kept coming in. I turned around. I'm like, holy cow. I felt like the entire town was in the room. The entire community likes him, and I'm not shocked by that by any means, but for everybody just to show up on a random Wednesday, that's saying something. Like, I go from LA to Miami to scout kids. There aren't many kids that are beloved in their community the way Cederian is. His mom's a good gal. His grandmother is a good gal. Everybody around the family is good. That helps. The coaches and all that are really good. Good communication with the media locally and everything. That's all great. But for that many people to show up, and there were people that drove over an hour to come to his ceremony. 24/7, they did his commitment ceremony. Tom Loy was there to be the host. All of that's great, but it's because of Cederian as a person, not the football player. And I also think that not only will that help Benjamin Russell this fall, that will help Alabama as a freshman, sophomore, junior, and I doubt he ever sees a year of his senior season. We'll talk about that next here on the Portal Podcast. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Look at it this way. There's a lot of different ways that anybody can save money. Not eating out as much, not going and using Ubers, not taking the opportunity to buy extra clothes you don't need to, whatever it may be. But look at it from a convenience standpoint too. If you've got everything in one hub with Monarch Money, it's faster, more efficient, and just flat out not as a big a pain to handle where everything's at. So with that in mind, take all the problems with your finances and let Monarch Money help you out and take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. As Cederian Morgan transitions to Alabama this next winter, he will have a major undertaking. I already talked about the playbook and learning all that stuff. It'll be harder at Alabama, and it should be. That is a real offense. That is a high-flying offense when they have the right kind of quarterback. I'm not sure they got that guy ready behind center, but he's on the roster. We'll talk about that here in a minute too. But at the same time, that is how you win college football games after everybody dedicates themselves to the playbook and everything else. That's fine. But you still got to have the pieces. This is where the physical part comes in. I don't expect Cederian Morgan to be in the realm of finish with that playbook as a freshman by any stretch, especially if he's going to play the boundary. That spot is going to see, especially in the Southeastern Conference, a guy lined up in front of him that is a dog. Bump and run coverage quite a bit. You'll see some cover three, some match. You'll see a little bit of everything. But the guy in front of you, there's a good chance he's getting drafted. So will he play right away? I don't know. But he'll play at some point during the season, and he'll make his plays. Again, up top in particular, strong hands, big hands, and he's just a competitor. He'll figure out some of those things, and he'll get better between now and that time as a route runner, understanding coverages, all that stuff too. Where I think he will have the bigger impact is his work ethic and being the kind of person he is as he goes into Tuscaloosa. That stuff's infectious, man. I have seen it tear apart a locker room, and I have seen it absolutely help a locker room embrace itself. If you have the right people coming in, especially the elite recruits, I don't care which program it is, Alabama, Oregon, or anywhere else, that's how you win football games. Alabama's got, depending on which service you go by, 4 guys that are 5 stars in this class. That's for on 3, 247 has like 3 of them. I mean, whatever the case is, they got an elite class, and I'm going to break that down here in the next segment. But this is a kid that is worth more than what his numeric value is on 3 or 24/7, whatever service you want to use, because he has the ability to have young men around him, to be comfortable. He isn't going to try to run over people. Hey, I'm a 5-star. And this is a note to all the young people out there. And one of the guys that spoke yesterday before Cederian announced for Alabama talked about this. Why not you? Why not you work that way? Why not you work that way academically, socially, athletically? Put all of it into the bucket, and you get everything out of the bucket later. That's what Cederian does. And that's a great way to look at it. You have to be ready to work from day one at Alabama or an elite program like that. Not worried about it at all. That's why he's earned being a 5-star. And I get the whole measurements thing, like he's off the charts from a physical standpoint. He's the first guy off the bus on a road trip for a reason. This is what you're dealing with today, okay? Good luck with that. Great. But the guys behind him will believe in him more than what his physical attributes are. That just cannot be measured in numbers. That's very, very important. Now, one last point. With the receivers they have, and good Lord, they've got some really talented players that they've gotten here in the last, 3-4 years in general. Like, it's not like Bama's ever struggled with receivers, but you got Ryan Williams, kid I know well, obviously just an elite player, and they've got Bernard and so all these other guys right now. Some of these guys will be gone quick. Like the first year that Cederian's in Tuscaloosa, there's no doubt that'll be the last year for Ryan Williams. He's ready for the NFL right now. He just legally, by the way, the rule works, you got to be 3 years removed from high school to turn pro. So this year will be a sophomore. In the year that Cederian's a freshman, they'll be 2 years apart. Good luck. Like, he may not even start. You have Ryan Williams. You're probably going to have Derek Meadows is in the mix. Watsier Brooks, the little slot that they got this past year, he's electric. They got Morgan in this class. They got a very underrated kid, Owen Cabell, yesterday. And they got Brian Williams, kid out of Orlando that I know that's a former Hooper. They're loaded with really talented guys. And it's proven that DeBoer and his staff know how to really, really do a good job with receivers. Now, they were blessed with talent at Washington, but they recruited them and they earned it. But you take those guys, and those are just the young players. Maybe you get one transfer. Maybe you get another guy that developed this later on in his career, whatever. But even if you just play like freshmen and sophomores, and then threw Ryan Williams in, it's probably a top 5 to top 8 group nationally because nobody's going to guard Ryan, first off. And one of those other guys is going to hit. I guarantee you, whether he's a starter or plays a ton right away, Cederian will be one of those guys pushing forward because of his effort. And that's why I like the kid, because while he's a nice guy, you still got to be a worker and somebody that I want to go watch, that I just personally want to enjoy watching play football and all the little things. That's why I go to their practices. Trust me, I go to a lot of practices where they're elite kids and they kind of go through it half speed sometimes. I don't really see that with CD. He gets after it, and I really do appreciate that because I don't want to waste my time on kids that don't want it. If you're not trying to be an elite level player, that's not for me. It is what it is. Now, when I come back, I want to talk about how Morgan impacts Alabama's class and impacts Florida, Auburn, Georgia, several other guys that you would think of at the elite top end of college football, and what's next for Bama. That is next here on the Portal Podcast. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in. Please hit that like button and that notification bell and subscribe. Share the podcast and comment down below. Let's talk about Bama's overall recruiting class. It went from, I'm not really sure what in the world is going on, to, holy cow, this is a great class, in about 6 weeks. Like, I had a buddy of mine call me and goes, what's going on with Bama? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. You've covered them. They had like 5, 6 commitments at the time. The two things that I know, and Cederian Morgan fits right into this, a bunch of their kids, for whatever reason that they were really going after, just wanted to take all their visits. Sometimes it's kind of potluck like that. And I started looking at their official visits right when it was all really getting ready to start on May 30th, when it just really kicked off. And I'm like, man, a bunch of these guys, just by their personality, being around them, they're probably going to be late June at the earliest decisions. And that's the way it did play out. Georgia had a little bit of that too. Like, Bama's got around 10 commits in a little bit less than 2 weeks. Same thing with Georgia. Those two schools, they played the long game and they won. And we're going to talk about those two battling each other here in a second, because Cederian visited UGA as well. Those two schools could end up 1-2 in the rankings at the end of the year. Is that shocking? No. But him going to Bama, not Georgia, could be the difference, because I think Georgia's class is better today than Bama's. But if Morgan had gone to UGA, it'd been real hard not to see UGA as the number one class at the end of the year. That they got a 5-star quarterback. They've got a couple really good offensive tackles and linemen. Their D-line class is ridiculous. So that impacts the rankings quite a bit. UGA is still ahead of Bama, but Bama still got a little ways to go and some key guys still on the board. I mean, Georgia's got some too, but we'll see. And as the national scale plays out, USC's got the number one class by every metric right now, but they also have 30 commitments. Notre Dame, Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, LSU. Watch out for LSU. They got a bunch of guys still on the board. They have a chance to move up the most. If these other schools catch up, don't be surprised at USC, but they give the Trojans credit too. But I think Bama's going to end up in the top 5 at the least. That's my vibe. And Cederian Morgan, by many accounts, is the best player in the state of Alabama. That'll help with other kids that they're going after, including Anthony Tank Jones from down at St. Paul's Episcopal in Mobile. He's a freak. 6'5", 240. That kid's ridiculous. Bama's expected to get him too. If they get him, you might see Bama end up at number 1. It's possible. There's just splitting hairs at that point. You get into that top 2 or 3, it's hard to say who's the best, but that could be the deciding factor. So Morgan's going to have a big impact, not only on the Bama class and helping getting other kids, but he didn't go to Florida. He didn't go to Georgia. He didn't go to Colorado. He didn't go to any of these other programs that wanted him. And a lot of those programs had aspirations for the top class, and some still do, like Georgia. But again, if you're Bama, you got to be really happy you got him, because you're going to play against some of those schools too. So that's something to think about. Final point. Cederian Morgan is a great kid, and everybody that aspires to be a football player should study him. If you ever get a chance to meet him, you'll know what I'm talking about in terms of him being a really great young man. But as a football player, that's how I got to know him, because I cover football. It was really easy to see why everybody comes out to practices and stuff, though, at Benjamin Russell. If you want to be that person, if you want to have somebody like that in your community, you got to look at the way he does things. Trust in God, his family, and his culture around the town. I mean, it's really awesome. I'm not sure what it is that makes CE that way, because I didn't know him until about a year ago. But everybody at that ceremony yesterday just talked about what a great young man he was and how he's always been that way since like Little League football. That's rare. Hopefully, wherever you live or wherever you're watching this podcast, there's somebody at least somewhat close to you. They may not have the same God-given ability that Cederian Morgan does, but you still get to enjoy somebody that has that kind of effort, because that's really a fun thing. If you're just a guy in the crowd or gal in the crowd, you want to see effort. And as a person on top of it, he's great. So that makes it even better. So it's awesome. Good luck to him at Alabama. Good luck to his family. And I look forward to seeing Benjamin Russell. They got a great team. They got a chance to win state this year. I'm going to be out to watch them play a couple times for sure. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. I appreciate it. We've got all kinds of podcasts right now. Who's committing, why kids are committing in places. I've got predictions. Going to do some team coverage stuff. There's a lot of things going on in recruiting. And I've also got some predictions coming up. I'm going to start probably this weekend with the teams that are getting ready to go to the college football season. I'm going to have win-loss record predictions. We're going to do it all here on the Portal Podcast. So like and subscribe. We will see you again soon on the Portal Podcast.